Alan Murphy stared at the computer screen, rubbing his tired eyes. The data scrolling past didn't make sense. For 3 days, the unusual signal had appeared like clockwork, broadcasting from somewhere beyond Neptune's orbit. At first, he thought it was equipment malfunction or cosmic background noise. Now he was sure it was something else entirely. "Got anything new?" asked Lisa Chen, entering the observation room with 2 steaming cups of coffee. Ellen accepted the cup gratefully. It's definitely artificial. The pattern repeats too precisely to be natural. Lisa leaned closer to the monitor, her expression changing from curiosity to amazement. "Those look like mathematical sequences. Prime numbers," Alan confirmed, "followed by what appears to be geometric ratios. Whatever's sending this knows their math." Within hours, the Arecibo facility was buzzing with activity. Scientists from every department crowded around monitors, analyzing the mysterious transmission. Ellen noticed government officials arriving, speaking in hushed tones as they viewed the data. "Dr. Murphy." A tall woman in a crisp naval uniform approached. "Commander Kate Wilson, U.S. Space Command. We need to talk about your discovery." Ellen followed her to a hastily established secure room. Inside, several military officers and NASA officials waited around a conference table. "The signal contains coordinates," Commander Wilson explained, pointing to a star chart. "They point to a location in the Kuiper Belt, approximately 6 billion miles from Earth." "Who would be out there?" Ellen asked. A gray-haired man spoke up. "That's what we intend to find out. I'm Director Frank Harris, NASA Deep Space Division. We believe this is a distress call." "From who?" Lisa asked, having been invited to join the meeting. Director Harris exchanged glances with Commander Wilson before answering. "We don't know, but the mathematical language suggests an intelligence trying to communicate across cultural barriers. The President has authorized a response mission," Commander Wilson continued. "We're assembling a team to investigate." Over the next week, Alan and Lisa worked with cryptographers to decode more of the message. The signal contained complex data packets that, when properly assembled, formed what appeared to be engineering schematics. "These look like massive spacecraft," said Greg Patel, the lead engineer assigned to the project. "And based on these readings, they're in trouble." On day 9, they made the breakthrough. The message included visual data that, when processed, showed images of the stranded fleet, 37 enormous vessels clustered together in the cold darkness of the outer solar system. "My God," whispered Alan as the first clear image appeared on screen. "They're not human." The creatures in the transmission had elongated bodies with 4 arms and skin that seemed to shimmer with bioluminescence. Their ships were elegant structures, curved and flowing unlike the utilitarian human spacecraft. "They're dying out there," Lisa said quietly, pointing to data showing failing life support systems. "That's why they reached out to the nearest civilization." At an emergency United Nations meeting, world leaders viewed the evidence. After hours of debate, they reached a consensus. Humanity would respond to the call. The research vessel Horizon, Earth's most advanced spacecraft, was prepared for the rescue mission. Captain Olivia Grant would command a crew of 30 specialists, scientists, engineers, and military personnel. "We're about to make first contact with an alien species," Captain Grant told her assembled crew during their final briefing. "They reached out to us in desperation. How we respond will define humanity's first step into a larger universe." As the Horizon prepared for launch, Alan stood at the observation window, watching. "Do you think we can actually help them?" Lisa asked beside him. Alan nodded slowly. "They're advanced enough to travel between stars. Yet they called us for help. That means we have something they need. Something uniquely human." 3 days later, the Horizon departed Earth orbit, beginning the long journey to the stranded alien fleet and humanity's first encounter with extraterrestrial intelligence. Captain Olivia Grant watched through the viewport as the Horizon approached the alien fleet. After 3 months of travel, they had finally reached the coordinates transmitted in the distress signal. The sight took her breath away. 37 massive ships floated silently against the backdrop of distant stars, each one easily 10 times larger than the largest vessel humans had ever constructed. All stations, status report, Olivia commanded, her voice steady despite her racing heart. All systems normal, Captain, replied her first officer, Ben Miller. We're maintaining safe distance as planned. Sam Foster, the chief engineer, studied his readings with intense concentration. I'm detecting minimal power signatures from most vessels. A few seem to be running on emergency systems only. For hours, the Horizon circled the fleet, collecting data and transmitting images back to Earth. The alien ships were elegantly designed with sweeping curves and strange, crystalline structures extending from their hulls. They showed no signs of weapon systems. These weren't warships. They're sending us a new transmission, called out Communications Officer Maria Reyes. It's using the same mathematical patterns but includes new symbols. Dr. Natalie Diaz, the team's linguist, rushed to Maria's station. They're refining their communication method. They've likely been studying our response signals during our approach. After 12 hours of careful message exchanges, Sam had an idea. Captain, if we project simple geometric shapes with our external lights, we might establish a visual language. Olivia agreed, and Sam programmed the ship's exterior illumination to display a sequence of shapes: circle, triangle, square, followed by their corresponding mathematical representations. The response came almost immediately. The nearest alien vessel lit up with the same patterns, then added new ones. They understand, Natalie exclaimed. They're inviting us to come closer. With extreme caution, Olivia ordered the Horizon to approach the largest vessel in the fleet. As they drew near, an enormous bay door slid open, revealing a cavernous docking area bathed in soft blue light. They want us to come aboard, said Ben, looking to his captain for direction. Olivia took a deep breath. Prepare the first contact team. Inside the alien ship, Olivia led a small group including Sam, Natalie, and Security Chief Joe Wilson. They wore environmental suits as a precaution, though readings showed the atmosphere was surprisingly similar to Earth's. They were met by 3 tall, slender beings with luminescent skin that pulsed with patterns of light. The aliens stood nearly 7 feet tall, with 4 long arms and large, faceted eyes that seemed to shimmer with intelligence. We are Voidari, came a mechanically translated voice from a device one alien held. You? Responded our call. Sam stepped forward cautiously. We received your distress signal. We've come to help if we can. The aliens conferred among themselves, their skin flashing in complex patterns. Then the tallest one approached, making a gesture that seemed respectful. Systems, failing. Many cycles, drifting. Home star, died. We escaped, but engines, failed. Using a combination of the translation device, visuals, and mathematics, the humans learned the Voidari story. Their home system's star had begun to destabilize centuries ago. The Voidari had built their escape fleet and set course for a new home. But while traveling through the outer reaches of Earth's solar system, their propulsion technology had catastrophically failed. With their power systems gradually deteriorating, they had been stranded for nearly 20 Earth years, conserving energy and searching for intelligent life nearby. How many people, how many Voidari are aboard? Asked Natalie. The answer stunned the human team. Over 200,000 living beings populated the fleet, many in hibernation to conserve resources. Our children, never known. Solid ground, said the Voidari translator. Life support, failing. Without help, we perish. Olivia looked at Sam, who was already examining nearby technology with professional curiosity. We'll need to understand your systems, Sam said carefully. But we want to help. That's why we came. The lead Voidari's skin flashed a pattern that the translator interpreted simply: unexpected hope. Sam Foster stood beside Zelna, a Voidari engineer, examining the exposed core of their propulsion system. After 2 weeks aboard the alien flagship, the human team was beginning to grasp the fundamentals of Voidari technology. What they found left them simultaneously amazed and puzzled. "This quantum fusion matrix is centuries beyond anything we've developed," Sam muttered, scanning the crystalline structure with his handheld device. "But I don't understand why it's failing." Dr. Nathalie Diaz translated his words for Zelna, whose skin pulsed with blue patterns that indicated concern. "Our engineers have tried all standard procedures," Zelna replied through the translator. "The matrices are destabilizing across all vessels. We cannot identify the cause." Back on the horizon, Captain Grant had established a continuous communication link with Earth. Scientists and engineers worldwide were working around the clock, studying the data sent back by the first contact team. The Voidari engineering approach is highly specialized, Dr. Diaz explained during that evening's briefing. Each engineer masters one specific system, but has limited understanding of others. They've become so advanced that they've lost the ability to improvise. Sam nodded. Their technology is elegant but rigid. When something works outside their parameters, they struggle to adapt. While the team discussed options, Sam absently fiddled with a mechanical pencil, taking it apart and reassembling it. Suddenly, he stopped mid-motion. "Wait a minute," he said. "What if the problem isn't complex at all? What if it's something simple they've overlooked because they're thinking too advanced?" The next day, Sam asked to examine the physical connectors between the quantum fusion cores and the power distribution network. The Voidari seemed confused by this request, but complied. "Look at this," Sam said to Dr. Diaz, pointing at a junction where crystalline components met. "Basic thermal expansion. The materials are contracting differently in the cold of deep space. It's creating microscopic gaps in the connections." "That's it?" asked Joe Wilson, the security chief. "Their ships are failing because of something that simple." "Simple doesn't mean easy to fix," Sam replied. "But yes, essentially they're experiencing the space equivalent of loose wiring, just on a quantum level." When Sam explained his theory to the Voidari engineers, their skin flashed with patterns of disbelief, then rapid pulses that the translator indicated was their equivalent of excitement. "This possibility was never considered," Zelna admitted. "Our simulations dealt with quantum field integrity, not physical connection stability." Sam sketched a basic bypass system using materials available on both the human ship and Voidari vessels. "We can create a flexible coupling that accommodates the different expansion rates. It's old-school engineering, but it should work with your advanced materials." News of Sam's discovery spread quickly through both the human team and Voidari fleet. Within days, a joint engineering group formed to design and test the bypass system. Captain Grant received a transmission from Earth. The United Nations had approved an expanded mission. More human ships would be dispatched carrying additional engineers and supplies. The world had united behind the effort to save the stranded aliens. "Your approach is unexpected," the Voidari fleet commander told Sam through Dr. Diaz's translation. "Our civilization has pursued advancement for so long that we forgot the fundamental principles upon which technology is built." Sam smiled modestly. "Sometimes the best solutions are the simplest ones." As the first prototype bypass was installed on a small auxiliary system, both human and Voidari engineers watched anxiously. The power readings, unstable for years, suddenly stabilized. A cheer went up from the human team while the Voidari's skin rippled with bright waves of color. "This is just the beginning," Captain Grant told her crew later. "Fixing all 37 ships will take months, maybe years, but we've proven it can be done." Sam nodded, already sketching improvements to his design. Sometimes you need fresh eyes on a problem. That's what the Voidari needed. Not necessarily more advanced thinking, just different thinking. The United Nations formally named the rescue mission Operation Lifeline. 3 months after the Horizon's initial contact, 5 additional Earth vessels arrived at the Voidari fleet, bringing specialized equipment and over 100 engineers from 12 different nations. Jack Mason climbed out of the shuttle and gazed around the vast docking bay of the Voidari mothership. Despite having seen countless images, the reality of standing inside an alien vessel still took his breath away. "First time aboard?" asked Maria Reyes, the Horizon's communications officer who had come to escort the new arrivals. Jack nodded. "I've been building retrofitting systems on Earth based on Sam's designs, but seeing the actual ships is something else entirely." Maria led Jack and the other new engineers through crystalline corridors, where both humans and Voidari worked side by side. The aliens had quickly adopted human hand signals and basic phrases, while the humans were learning to interpret the Voidari skin patterns. In the main engineering hub, Sam Foster looked up from a holographic display and waved Jack over. "Glad you made it. Your retrofitting design is exactly what we need." "The manufacturing team has been working nonstop," Jack replied. "We've got enough components to upgrade 5 ships, with more coming on each supply run." The challenge facing the human Voidari team was immense. Each massive ship required hundreds of bypass systems to stabilize their failing quantum cores. What made the work particularly difficult was that each installation had to be done while systems remained partially active. Shutting them down completely would kill the hibernating Voidari who depended on life support. "We've completed work on 2 of the smaller vessels," Sam explained to the new team. "They're now serving as power support for the others. But the largest ships, with the most Voidari aboard, are still at risk." Jack's retrofitting system was ingenious in its simplicity. Using Earth metals combined with Voidari crystalline technology, it created flexible, adaptable connections that could withstand the extreme cold of space while maintaining quantum field integrity. As weeks passed, cultural exchange blossomed alongside technical collaboration. The Voidari were fascinated by human art, music, and especially humor, a concept somewhat foreign to their methodical minds. In return, they shared knowledge of the stars and distant worlds they had observed during their long journey. During meal breaks, humans taught Voidari card games while the aliens demonstrated their memory-sharing technique, a gentle touch that transferred visual experiences directly from one being to another. Through this, many humans experienced breathtaking visions of the Voidari homeworld before its star began to die. "Your species adapts so quickly," Zelna told Jack as they worked together on a particularly complex junction. "Our civilization built specialized tools for every task. You create one tool that serves many functions." "Necessity is the mother of invention," Jack replied with a smile. "When you have limited resources, you learn to be creative." This fundamental difference in thinking proved invaluable. The Voidari's precision and advanced understanding of quantum physics combined perfectly with human adaptability and practical problem-solving. A month into Operation Lifeline, Earth received its first Voidari visitors. 3 alien representatives traveled back on a supply ship to address the United Nations. Their appearance caused worldwide sensation, but their message was simple: gratitude and an offer of friendship between worlds. Back at the fleet, work continued around the clock. Captain Grant coordinated the increasingly complex operation from the Horizon, balancing technical challenges with the human team's needs. "We've completed the 10th ship," Sam reported during an evening briefing. "At this rate, we can have the entire fleet stabilized within 8 months. The Voidari Council has requested that once their ships are operational, they be allowed to orbit Earth while their navigation systems are restored," Captain Grant told the team. "It seems humanity is about to have long-term extraterrestrial visitors." The engineers exchanged excited glances. What had begun as a rescue mission was evolving into something much more significant: the first steps toward a genuine alliance between species. Captain Olivia Grant jolted awake as emergency alarms blared throughout the Horizon. She grabbed her uniform and rushed to the bridge, where Ben Miller was already reviewing data with a grim expression. "Massive solar flare, Captain," he reported. "Our long-range sensors detected it 15 minutes ago. Impact estimated in 4 hours." "Severity?" Olivia asked, studying the readouts. "Class X10, possibly stronger," one of the largest recorded. Our shields can handle it, but the Voidari ships, Olivia finished his thought, especially the ones with partially repaired systems. Sam Foster arrived, out of breath. Captain, I've been running simulations. The partially repaired vessels will lose containment when the radiation hits. Their quantum cores could destabilize completely. The timing couldn't have been worse. 15 of the 37 alien ships had been fully repaired, but the others remained vulnerable. Most critically, the largest vessel, holding over 50,000 hibernating Voidari, was still undergoing repairs to its main power system. Evacuate all non-essential personnel from the incomplete vessels, Olivia ordered. Move them to the repaired ships or our Earth vessels. As evacuation began, Sam approached with another concern. Captain, there's no time to move everyone. The large mothership has too many hibernation chambers active. If we disconnect them during transfer, we'll lose thousands. What options do we have? Olivia asked. The Horizon's experimental shield system could theoretically protect one vessel if positioned correctly, Sam suggested, but it would leave us vulnerable. Olivia considered this information silently. Earth vessels had protective shielding designed for such solar events. The Voidari ships, despite their advanced technology, had never needed such defenses in deep space. Position the Horizon between the flare path and the mothership, she ordered finally. All other Earth vessels will maintain their own protection and assist smaller Voidari ships where possible. Captain, Ben objected, that puts our crew at significant risk. I'm aware, Commander, but we're talking about thousands of lives. As preparations continued, readings from the mothership grew more concerning. The engineering team realized that even with the Horizon's shield protection, radiation would still seep through to affect critical systems. Lieutenant Commander Eric Powell, head of the EVA team, proposed a dangerous solution. Captain, if we manually stabilize the core connectors during the flare, we might prevent catastrophic failure. That means someone outside during the event, Olivia stated. Eric nodded. My team can do it. We'll need to position radiation shielding around the exterior worksite, but it's possible. The Voidari Council strongly objected when they learned of the plan. This risk is unacceptable, their leader communicated. Your people could die. Sometimes we have to risk a few to save many, Eric replied simply. As the solar flare approached, Eric led a team of 4 in specialized suits to the exterior of the mothership. They anchored themselves near the main power junction and began installing additional protective measures around the delicate bypass systems. Inside the Horizon, Olivia watched the countdown clock with growing tension. Her ship was now positioned to take the brunt of the solar radiation, its shields extended to cover part of the alien mothership. Flare impact in 5 minutes, Ben announced. EVA team still working. Through the communication channel, they could hear Eric calmly directing his team despite the imminent danger. The Voidari engineers watched in stunned silence as the humans worked frantically to save lives not of their own species. 2 minutes to impact, came the update. EVA team, you need to return now. Almost finished, Eric responded. 30 more seconds. The radiation wave hit with blinding intensity. The Horizon shuddered as its shields absorbed the massive energy burst. On the exterior cameras, they could see Eric's team huddled behind their makeshift radiation barrier, clinging to the mothership's hull as the solar storm raged around them. For 17 minutes, the flare bombarded the fleet. When it finally passed, the damage assessment began. 3 smaller vessels had lost power despite protective measures. But the mothership, and its thousands of hibernating Voidari, had survived. And so had Eric's team, though 2 members suffered radiation exposure requiring immediate medical attention. As the humans were brought aboard, the Voidari Council assembled to meet them. The alien skin pulsed with patterns that needed no translation, profound gratitude, and newfound respect. Dr. Natalie Diaz hadn't slept in nearly 30 hours. She rubbed her tired eyes as she studied the complex diagrams floating in the holographic display. Beside her, The voidary scientist Kelfar's skin pulsed with patterns indicating deep concentration. "The problem is fundamental," Natalie said, tracing a path through the energy distribution model. "We're trying to force your quantum technology to work with our mechanical bypasses. They're compatible, but not optimal." Kelfar's translator converted his skin patterns to speech. "Yet your bypasses function. They have saved many ships already." "Yes, but they're a temporary solution," Natalie explained. "To truly restore your fleet, we need something that integrates both approaches." 5 months had passed since first contact. Despite significant progress, the engineering teams faced increasing challenges with the larger, more complex vessels. The retrofitting worked, but required constant maintenance and adjustment. A better solution was needed. Sam Foster entered the laboratory carrying what looked like a small crystal encased in metal. "We've been thinking about this all wrong," he announced. "Instead of adapting your technology to fit our methods, or vice versa, we need to create something new." For days, Natalie and Kelfar had been reviewing the fundamental principles behind voidary power systems. Simultaneously, Sam had been experimenting with combining earth metals with alien crystalline structures. "What if," Sam suggested, placing the device on the workbench, "we use your quantum crystals but arrange them according to our engineering principles? Not a bypass, but a true hybrid system." Kelfar's skin flashed with rapid patterns that the translator struggled to keep up with. "Unprecedented. Our designers never considered such an approach. Our technology evolves through refinement, not recombination." The three worked through the night, Natalie mapping quantum field interactions while Kelfar provided insights into crystal harmonic structures. Sam built prototype after prototype, each slightly different from the last. By morning, they had created something entirely new, a power regulator that used voidary quantum crystals arranged in a human-designed configuration that allowed for flexibility and adaptation. "It's beautiful," whispered Natalie as the device came to life, glowing with a soft blue light. Initial tests showed it was stable and actually more efficient than either the original voidary system or the human bypass. Captain Grant authorized a test on one of the smaller vessels. Engineers from both species worked together to install the hybrid regulator into the ship's main power grid. When activated, power readings jumped to 120% of previous capacity. "It works," Sam exclaimed as cheers erupted throughout the control room. Even the normally reserved voidary displayed their excitement through vivid color patterns rippling across their skin. News of the breakthrough spread quickly. The United Nations immediately approved resources to mass-produce the new regulators. Factories on Earth began working around the clock, with voidary specialists traveling to Earth to oversee production. Within weeks, the first shipment of hybrid regulators arrived at the fleet. Installation teams worked efficiently, having perfected their procedures through months of collaboration. Ship after ship came back online with stable, improved power systems. The Voidary Council formally gathered the human team for a ceremony. Their leader, High Coordinator Zivra, addressed the assembled humans. "For generations, our people have advanced through specialization, each knowing more and more about less and less," Zivra's translator conveyed. "We failed to see solutions outside our established knowledge patterns. You humans, with your broad adaptive thinking, have shown us another way." The Council officially designated humans as the unexpected saviors in their historical records, a title of great significance in voidary culture. That evening, as Natalie and Kelfar finalized plans for upgrading the fleet's remaining vessels, they discussed the philosophical implications of their work. "Our species developed along such different paths," Natalie observed. "You pursued perfection and specialization. We valued adaptability and versatility. And together," Kelfar's skin pulsed gently, "we achieved what neither could alone." The hybrid regulator became more than just a technological solution. It became a symbol of what was possible when different approaches combined. As production continued on Earth and installations proceeded throughout the fleet, both species recognized that they had created something truly unique. a genuine synthesis of two civilizations' knowledge. The massive Voidari mothership hummed with renewed energy as its engines powered up for the first time in over 20 years. Captain Olivia Grant stood on the Horizon's observation deck, watching as blue-green light rippled along the alien vessel's crystalline hull. After 6 months of relentless work, the final ship in the fleet had been restored to full operational capacity. "It's quite a sight," said Sam Foster, joining her at the viewport. "Hard to believe we actually did it." Olivia nodded, feeling a complex mix of pride, exhaustion, and something else, a sense that humanity had just passed an important test without realizing they were being examined. Down in the mothership's Grand Council chamber, representatives from Earth met with the Voidari leadership for what was being called the Friendship Summit. The chamber's walls displayed a real-time holographic view of Earth, appearing close enough to touch despite being millions of miles away. "When we sent our distress call, we had little hope," High Coordinator Zivre addressed the assembled humans and Voidari. "Our sensors had detected your civilization, but our records suggested you were too technologically primitive to assist us." Dr. Natalie Diaz, now fluent in reading Voidari color patterns, noticed ripples of embarrassment crossing the alien skin. "We were wrong," Zivra continued, "not only about your capabilities but about the very nature of advancement. Your species solved problems our finest minds could not comprehend, not because you were more advanced, but because you think differently." The Earth delegation, led by United Nations Secretary Chen, listened intently as Zivra explained something that shocked everyone present. "You should know that Earth sits at the edge of a region inhabited by many spacefaring civilizations. Until now, your world has been considered too primitive for formal contact." Murmurs spread through the human delegation. Jack Mason leaned toward Natalie. "Are they saying we're like an uncontacted tribe in the Amazon?" "That appears to be the case," she whispered back. "The galactic community has strict protocols about contacting developing worlds," Zivra explained. "But our situation has created an unprecedented opportunity. You have earned the right to join the interstellar community not as novices, but as equals who have already proven their worth." Secretary Chen stepped forward. "What exactly are you proposing?" "We offer to serve as your ambassadors," Zivra replied, skin flashing with formal diplomatic patterns. "We will introduce humanity as a species who saved an advanced civilization using what we now recognize as your greatest strength: adaptable, creative thinking unbounded by traditional constraints." The Voidari presented their gift, a data crystal containing information about faster-than-light travel, clean energy production, and medical technology centuries beyond Earth's current capabilities. In return, they requested permission to establish a permanent embassy in Earth orbit while they repaired their navigation systems and planned their journey to their intended destination. Later that evening, as celebration parties erupted across the fleet and on Earth, Captain Grant and her senior officers gathered quietly in the Horizon's mess hall. "So we've been living next door to an entire galactic community and never knew it," Eric Powell said, still wearing a bandage from his radiation injuries. "And now we're joining the neighborhood," added Ben Miller, "all because we answered a call for help." Sam raised his glass. "To the Voidari, who had the wisdom to ask for help even when they didn't believe we could provide it." "And to humanity," Olivia responded, who jumped into the unknown simply because someone needed assistance. As the Horizon prepared to lead the first Voidari vessels into Earth orbit, Natalie stood with Kelfar watching the stars. Their partnership had created not just a technological breakthrough, but a bridge between civilizations. "What will your people do next?" Natalie asked. "After your navigation systems are repaired." Kelfar's skin pulsed with thoughtful blue patterns. "Continue to our original destination. But differently now. We have learned that true advancement comes not from isolation and specialization, but from connection and exchange." "Will you tell others about us?" Natalie asked. "We already have," Kelfar replied. "The story of how humans saved an advanced civilization using primitive ingenuity is spreading throughout the galaxy. Others are coming to meet you." As if to confirm his words, the horizon's long-range sensors detected new signals, different from the void area patterns, but clearly artificial, originating from deep space.